lives after Michigan. Yeah, you're laughing.
What happens?
I'm ready to admit,
mice
and
play.
I'm on your page.
Okay. Excellent. We're live.
I'm ready to admit.
Bob, I'm going to go ahead and record from my computer so that I just have it ready
Okay.
to go on the podcast. Bob, I'm going to go ahead and record from. Oh wait.
Excellent. We got it. Go ahead. Go record.
Actually, it says I have to have permission from the host, so I don't know how you
I just did it. I recorded it.
Oh, okay.
Welcome everyone. Thursday night Shredders Unite business call. Thank you everybody for joining me on this frigid evening in Chicago. I think we got up to 34 or something like that today. It was rather chilly. So I was entirely angry, jealous, as Crystal had said, jealous of her husband. I was too jealous of Sean in that he was walking in his bare feet with a tank top on, telling me about how I can get grounded to the earth if I just take my shoes off and get some sunshine, get some vitamin D. And I'm like, come on, buddy, it's 27 degrees this morning. You have no idea. We're in a cold front. Anyhow, welcome everybody to our Shredders business call. We call it Shredders Unite. Before I get started, I want to make sure that everybody goes to the Facebook page and looks for the disclaimers. I know that when we do the replay, we'll have the disclaimers on there as well. And that is, we don't cure, prevent, or diagnose any diseases. The stories you hear this evening, be it a health journey, that is their personal journey, that is their story. And of course, if there's any claims or mention of income, that is going to be entirely dependent upon the individual's skill set level, as well as, their knowledge of the industry and also, previous background, ability to network, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The nice thing about this amazing group of people is that we've taken a new twist to an old iteration, our old fulfillment company, and through the discovery of Sean and Crystal Escobar, we've put on they put on the front end an elimination protocol, which in combination with our old core system with a couple tweaks, we literally hit nirvana, we hit magic. I like to say sometimes lightning in the bottle, or we found magic in the bottle. It's peanut butter and jelly. They go better together. Anyway, I am so excited to have our co-founder, the better half of Sean, Crystal Escobar. Welcome, Crystal. How are you this evening?
I'm good. Thanks, Bob. It's so great to be on. I'm excited to dive into this topic. It'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And give me 1 second because I'm going to check Facebook for my privacy codes. And of course, friends only. So I just made it public. All right. So we got to behave ourselves. We're out there in the Facebook world. We're public. So watch our P's and Q's. Anyway, Crystal, I thought it would be fun to get started this evening because a lot of people have joined our community. There's a lot of people who've known about you and Sean, but maybe have missed some of the early calls. And I always, not pulling a Jesse on you and diving deep and finding out what went on in the very beginning. But why don't you tell us, I know that you were involved in the network marketing industry. My first question would be, were you involved in network marketing before or while you were dating Sean with another company?
Yeah, I was involved in network marketing a little bit before, about 5 months before I met Sean. And I was building my own thing. And so it was kind of interesting. That was one of the things that drew us together when we first met, is our common interest in network marketing at the time. But I mean, at that time, I was all in the business that I was building. And I was 100% convinced that I was in the best business at that time,
Now so we can kind of do a little compare and contrast.
Yeah.
All things being equal, when you found your new love, your new first network marketing endeavor, which you thought it was your home, how did you get introduced? And what was it that kind of got your attention and why did you join them?
Yeah, I think that it's kind of interesting to look back. I mean, that was almost 20 years ago when I was doing that. And, a lot changes in a person in 20 years. And so when I look back at what initially drew me to network marketing, I'm kind of embarrassed to admit what it was, but Maybe some
Huh.
people can
So
relate.
you're about 16 entrepreneur at the
Yeah,
time, right?
just like I think I was like 22, and it was
But
yeah, it was a lot more shallow. I guess that's
well,
a
not
good
still,
word.
you don't need to say that. I mean, at 22
Well,
years old, you probably wanted to make money, right?
yeah, but it was very much money driven, which I think maybe is something that we all experience at certain phases of our life. You know, sometimes we're a little bit more materialistic. We want a lot of money. We want to be rich, you know, but I think over time we start to realize like there's more to life than just having all the nice fancy things. And you realize, you kind of learn through your own process and your own journey where true happiness and fulfillment comes from. And so back then, it is kind of silly when I think about what was it that drew me to network marketing, and it was the glitz and the glamour and the you know, even the fame, you know, because in network marketing, you know, there's like celebrity status within different companies, and you want to achieve certain rankings, you want recognition, you want to make a lot of money, you want nice fancy cars.
Well, when the person approached you, and I should preface and say, this is an amazing industry, and there are a lot of really good companies out there. But like in all things, you can do it with integrity, and you can do it maybe what you would think is the proper way, but also understand it doesn't matter. There are always going to be elements within a company where people may tend to use marketing techniques, or maybe in this case, using money as the reason for you to join them. And that's what I want to get into, because the promised land isn't always the promised land. So when you first saw the glitz and the shiny and new shiny object, I mean, how did they present the business? How did they, what was it about the money? What were they portraying? What were they suggesting was something that was, you know, obtainable?
Well, it was all money. There wasn't really an actual product. When I look back, you know, they kind of claim that there was a product, but it was really all money. And I think that what happened to me was, you know, getting excited about the money and all of that led me to become a person that was not really me, because basically you are taught to do things exactly the way they teach you to do it. And I felt so inauthentic at that time. And I didn't realize that it was inauthentic. I just was like, all right, you know, you fake it till you make it.
You were following other people's methodologies,
Yeah.
their scripts, their word usage.
Exactly. Everything was scripts, imitation, becoming basically like identical to the leaders. And to me now, you know, I like to be able to compare and contrast, you know, the different experiences from then to now, because even in the beginning of when I was building Isagenix, I was kind of doing a similar approach. It was more scripted. It was more just trying to, you know, fake it till you make it, be like the leaders. They tell you how to do it. But what we're realizing now with ER Shred is that, you know, through a lot of life experience, realizing that, you know, there is so much beauty in diversity and individuality.
Okay.
And
hold that thought.
Okay.
We're getting into the juicy stuff.
Okay.
But we'll get there quick. So I just wanted to set the table. So you came in, you met Sean, you had a network marketing experience. You're with a rather large company. They sold a lot of everyday products that everybody uses, but they put it in an income model so that you already use this product. Why don't you use it through our company? And then you refer people in and so on, and you're going to be able to make money, et cetera. And a lot of them do use money as the enticement. The sad thing is like in any other business, it's network marketing, not, you know, net free marketing, right? It takes a lot of work, knowledge, and skill to get to those top ranks, and it's not necessarily easily obtainable. Can I ask you this last question about your old company? Was there any emotional attachment to any of the products that you were representing or selling to your customer base?
No, not at all. It was just a phone service.
Okay.
That was it. That was the one thing that we were marketing. So
and everybody talks, so why don't you do it through us, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
everybody
it
communicate
wasn't about a product, nothing that got me emotional and excited and life-changing.
Okay, great. All right. So now let's get to our fulfillment company, Isagenix. You had met Sean probably at a network marketing event, industry event, maybe training how to become a leader, or
No.
how did you meet Sean?
We just met through mutual friends from high school.
Okay, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the industry how you met.
No.
Was it, did you start Isagenix separately? Or did you do it with Sean from the beginning, or how did that start with your relationship?
Well, when we first met, it's funny because we kind of moved really quickly in our relationship. So we met, and 3 months later we were married. So
I'm trying to find out how you had two separate spots. That's my question. I'll come right out and ask.
Okay, so well, like right when we started becoming serious, which was like 2 weeks into our relationship, we realized that okay, we can't both be working separate network marketing companies. But I had been working. The difference was I had been working for 5 months. Sean had been working for 5 months. I was in debt $5,000. Sean was actually making like, I don't remember how much at the time, but it was a lot for me at the time, realizing like, oh my gosh, he's making so much money. It's not like what we're making now, but I just remember thinking it was so much for my 22, 23-year-old self when I'm in debt, trying to go to all these events and try to look the part by buying the nice fancy clothes. And it was just, it was kind of like, all right, it's a no-brainer. We're going to choose Isagenix.
Did you feel obligated to go to those events, or kind of feel, did they make you feel as if you weren't there, you weren't going to be successful, that type of thing?
Yes. And they were every 3 months out of state. So I would buy the plane tickets, have to buy my hotel, have to buy the fancy suit because you got to look all like professional. And there's like a look that you're after. You got to look like a businesswoman. And so, yeah, it was definitely, they made you feel like if you did not attend these events, then you're pretty much kissing your success goodbye.
Okay. Well, I'm just drawing some distinctions, which I think is really interesting. So you and Sean meet, 3 months, you're married. Sean's got a good business mind. He said, hey, we're going to do this one spot together and let's blow this thing out. Then you started to work. It was our old 9-day system, which many people have heard about, the core of the program. That didn't taste good. It was a little bit harder to challenge, but we were all after the same thing. So your first experience on the product, how did you feel?
Well, that was exciting because I had always had about 20 pounds that I wanted to lose. And of course, tried all different kinds of ways to lose the weight and was never successful in losing it. And when I did the 9-day at the time, I was able to lose 25 pounds and go from a size 10 to a size 5 in about 6 weeks. So my original results with Isagenix was very good. And so to go into how we did do, like, because you're trying to picture how did we work the one spot, but, being newly married and trying to be like this independent woman before I met Sean. And then, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, we're just going to build his business that he's already been successful in. I had a hard time finding my place in Isagenix, even though I had a really great experience, but I just wanted to have some sense of ownership in it. And so, but I felt like it was always his. So what I did then is, after about a year being married, I was like, Sean, I think that I need to have my own spot so that I can, my own position under us, because I just need to feel like I have the experience of building a business from the beginning, because it's hard for me to express, to be on the same page as you when you've already created this kind of success. I want to build it on my own. So we signed me up underneath us, and it was really exciting. And it was I only had one child at the time. So yeah, it was a couple of years into our marriage. I had one child at the time. And so I had a little bit more time to devote to Isagenix, and I was working it really hard. And I was able to get my cycles up to about 14 cycles a week. And that was really exciting and really empowering for me to know that my ability to create to make my own income. And so it was important for me to have that experience, but then started having more babies and then got real busy with that. And so I was just like, all right, Sean, this is your thing. I'll do what I can to support, but I can't devote as much time to building my own position when I'm trying to raise these babies and all that and homeschool, and that kind of took over. But then, now it's kind of really been perfect timing, since 2020 was actually such a great year for this all to come together with ER Shred, because my kids were finally, all 4 of them were in school all day. And that was the first year that they were actually in school all day. So I was like, all right, I'm ready to do this. And it was a perfect timing for ER Shred to be formulated at the time, because now it's like we're doing this together again.
Let me do, says I'm going to jump ahead here because we got some advanced students.
Okay.
Hopefully some business leaders that are watching that are in our ER Shred group. But to show you the leverage in our business model and how beautiful it is. Now, knowing Sean, pretty sharp cookie, he didn't put Crystal on a leg that wasn't probably his paid leg. In other words, we got to build 2 teams, and you have basically when 600 business volume is collected on one end, 300 matches on the other leg, you get paid what we refer to as a cycle, which is $54. And it's pretty much been there, $54.15 for almost the whole time. Interestingly, though, I'm sure, Crystal, he puts you on your focus leg, meaning you have a larger leg on one side. You probably went on the minor, they call it the minor team leg, right?
Mm-hmm.
So your 14 cycles, how important was that to Sean, or your top spot is that for every time you cycle, Sean's top spot would cycle 3 times. So for you being smart enough to build your own business, not only did you make 14 cycles for yourself, but Sean made an additional 42 cycles, because I'm guessing you were on the weaker of the 2 legs, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that's good money. I mean, at 42, you're about 120,000, 125,000 a year, just because of one person, Crystal.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, that's my little segue there, but I just want people to start understanding that it isn't one of these things where you have to invite 1,000 people yourself to find success. It's really helping people get what they want and getting the organic referrals. So you started with Isagenix, you lost 25 pounds. You had an emotional experience or excitement around the product, just as Sean had, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You had your wonderful in-laws. You had Randy and you had Tony to build this with, and Sean, and you always had you were a united front. I mean, I know you created an amazing team along the way. And I don't know, it happened to all of us, including now that I look at my pictures from 2018, man, did I get out of shape? I thought I was in pretty good shape for my age, but it didn't look so hot. What happened in terms of you? Where were you? Because you had your own challenges compared to Sean. He's openly discussed and shared his digestive issues. We know about your friend in Florida that Sean talked about, and he mentioned again the other night, I think last night on Wednesday night, in that he was able to say you guys need to do an all grass-fed meat diet and allow your gut to heal. And pretty much Sean said, I'll do anything. And you did it to support Sean, right?
No, I was also.
You were also into it. Okay.
I was to the point where I'm like, I'll do anything too, because I had tried everything and I had been so disciplined over the years with all the different ways that I had tried to just be healthier. And so, Isagenix, I still was drinking my shake consistently every single day, but I was on the vegan, the plant-based shake at the time because I wanted to try the vegan diet, because I'm always trying to just have optimal health. And
so how long were you a true vegan?
I think about 10 months. So like almost a year.
Wow.
And it
Did
was
you feel good the whole time?
No, I didn't feel good. I was just like, well, maybe
Did you ever feel good on it?
No, not really. I didn't feel bad. No, I didn't. Yeah, I did feel bad because I had because I'm thinking about like energy levels and the whole picture. Like, it wasn't like I felt, the part that I felt really bad was every night going to bed with pain in my stomach and having to this is a lot of information, but having to do enemas almost every single day because my stomach hurt so badly. And so I just thought, well, I just have to adjust. It's just going to take time. I think it's just like getting my body getting used to all
Did you ever, because, and I'll tell you my quick story after this, but did you ever have any joint aches? How are your joints? Do you remember?
I didn't have joint aches other than I did notice once after a couple months into the ER shred, realizing that I didn't pop as much when I went downstairs. Like usually
you're still a young spring chicken. For me though, I followed, because here, this is the ego in my view, my world. I thought, wow, I've got guys in my team who've been Isagenix finalists. I don't represent. I think I need to get myself lean and cut and get in as good shape as I once was back in the day. And I followed a bodybuilder following a macro diet who said, you can use the core system except for no cleansing. I'm like, hey, if I can look like what you've done with other people, you've been a great coach, I'll do whatever to a T. Well, the end result is I put 10 pounds on. He claims it was 10 pounds of muscle, but when I went and cut myself back to 0 carbs, I couldn't lose a pound. I think I lost 2 pounds in 4 months. And bottom line is what I had was what they refer to as metabolic syndrome or metabolic inflexibility. My body just shut down. I mean, I was in a bad place. So my doctor actually told me, you have to become vegan.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll become vegan. Well, the vegan diet got me back down to 10 pounds. So I went from 225, 228 back to that 215, rough area. And that's where I was stuck. But after about 90 days being a vegan, literally the last 4 weeks of that, I ached so badly, I couldn't sleep at night. Every joint, all my old injuries, hip. I mean, it kind of sound like Adam Sisk talking about your old injuries. Yeah. I just couldn't sleep. And it was my wife, Allison, just said, that's it. Tomorrow you're eating chicken. I'm giving you a big chicken breast. Yeah. And interestingly, eating that protein, the pain went away. But I still thought, okay, I'll eat right. I'm going to have lean meats. I'm going to do chicken, fish, and lots of vegetables. That was me. And I ate some fruit, but I thought I was eating healthy. But if you saw my pictures, obviously had plenty of bloat and didn't realize it. And I just wasn't feeling my best. I just thought it was acceptable. At that time I was 57, something at all. I'm as good as I get for 57. So tell me, you guys get introduced to the ER shred, you jump on board. Sean started to talk about this, but how soon did you notice a difference with how you felt, and how quickly were the changes for you, your transformation?
Mine was within about 5 to 7 days, where I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't know it was possible to not have any bloat or gas or discomfort in my gut. And also my skin started to improve. I had like big, huge welts, like all over my chest, my back, my face. And it was like, always my biggest motivation was to improve my skin, because I've struggled with acne since I was a teen and hit puberty. And I just have been trying every kind of approach to have better skin. And the vegan diet was actually the one where it got the worst. So I was like, well, that's why I was like, to the point when Sean was like, oh, like, you're not going to believe this. Our friend, he was vegan for 6 years and now he's doing this all meat. And I'm like, what? Like, but I was like, well, I'm like so all in, like I'm ready to try anything, because this vegan diet is not working for me. I'm so uncomfortable every single day and my skin is just flared up worse than ever before. So it was pretty exciting for me after about a week on ER
So
shred.
you guys got started I'm guessing, well, just tell me, I think it was around June 2020. When did you get started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So come August, that's about the time when Sean was telling me about, okay, we got something. And then he was telling me about the whole red meat deal. And I was like, I had the same, like, you kidding me? Red meat?
Yeah.
How are we no one's going to buy that. Yeah. I was one of his close friends who was like going, time out. I don't know if we could do it. Like, would you just red meat? But you found Jesse endorsed it, and you had that first group go through. I remember October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, that first immediate, which I was watching all of you because you were my guppies. And of course I called Randy and Tony as soon as they got done with their 11 day to ask their opinion. Like, okay, I can't ask Sean because he's gonna tell me it's great, but is that good? And of course I had just glowing reports, and I got started, I think it was around the 23rd. I think that was when I first started, but it was same thing for me. It was about day 7, 8. I came alive, as Lenny said, Lenny Evans. And it was like, holy cow. Now, have you noticed your consumption of grass-fed butter? Has it gone up or down, or has it stayed consistent? I mean, did you start off always having grass-fed butter, or did you notice yourself craving it more?
Always having the butter, and I haven't really paid too much attention to
how much
the amount, but I am incorporating some new foods, so I'm not on just strictly meat, which we were for a few months.
So which is great. So you're beginning to experiment for what works for you. Is Sean, are you guys finding a difference in terms of Sean you can do some things that Sean won't do, and vice versa?
We're kind of on a different, well, I would say 70% of our diet is the same, Sean and I together, but I'm experimenting with different foods that Sean's just not, he just feels so good. He's just like, I don't need to. And I'm just like, I think I need, as a woman, I don't know. I think women, and men are different. And so I'm thinking, I need just a few carbs. And so I've been experimenting with some vegetables and some fruits, but very, very limited amount of fruit. Like honey's the main source of like sweetness for me, but I've been having, sweet potatoes. I've tried out spinach, having like a spinach salad with avocados and chicken and bacon. So like still plenty of fat, but experimenting still. I'm still experimenting. I think that's the beauty of ER Shred, is because it doesn't have to be this dogmatic, like everybody needs to be on the exact same diet. Like that's the beauty of it. I really love that we are not promoting like everybody needs to do it A, B, and C. Otherwise you're going to fail. It's like, no, let's start with A. And now everybody is going to figure out exactly what their diet is. But I am not going to ever include corn, soy, gluten, or white sugar into my diet. Those are the 4 things that I will stay away from the rest of my life, and I'll have no problem with that. But I'm just trying to experiment with whole foods, organic. Hopefully I'm trying to grow my own, as much as I can of my own. We have our own chickens. So I'm trying to get everything as pure as possible, whatever I consume.
I noticed, we have Brett Hoover's on, and he's awesome in the group in terms of his commentary. And I don't know what I ate last night, but I came home late. Allison had gone to a place called Cluckers here in Chicago, but they have like organic, supposedly chicken, but they have nice chicken soup, breast chickens, whatever, the whole thing. And I didn't eat corn. I didn't have any of the bad stuff. I had just the chicken, and I had their chicken soup, which is just a yummy kind of like the cold night chicken soup that you'd want to have. And literally last night I had so much gas. I was literally dying. I was like, what in the heck was in it?
Was there the noodles in it?
They didn't have any, they may have had noodles in it, and maybe that's what got me. Because, and I'm assuming that's gluten in there, right? Okay. So obviously whatever was in there, it was not a good night. I mean, I was literally like going, this is miserable. I mean, but it just shows you, it was something that, it's just chicken. It can't be that bad for you. Hot chicken soup. Oh, I have some chicken soup. It'll be good. So I'm like Sean, I am terrified to get too ambitious, other than I've had spinach, asparagus, beans, broccoli, that wasn't so much. Brussels sprouts was really bad for me, but I haven't really done a whole lot. I think I've had a banana now and then, but that's what the beauty of it. And Allison is different. My wife is different than I am. She feels she needs more carbs, and she functions a little bit having more vegetables than what I'll eat. Kind of just stick to the butter.
Like that's where I get my carbs, is basically just from vegetables. Not a lot, because I know that I don't do well with a lot of vegetables. So it's like That's my little side dish.
You
It's
have
almost
like I find I'm eating like a half portion of what I used to eat if I
yes,
have
I used to try to eat as many vegetables as possible and as little protein. Like it's just like all the vegetables and then a little bit of protein. But now it's like protein, a little bit of vegetables.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
you look amazing. Both you guys are incredible. And of course, it was your transformation and with Sean that attracted all of us, and you guys getting on and doing your lives and talking about it. That was
Well,
so
wait,
exciting.
let's talk about that a little bit more about as far as my results with my body. The cool thing is I don't work out very like I haven't worked out in almost a month because we had COVID about a month ago, and I'm still having some lingering. I haven't I'm not like 100% with my energy levels yet, and I just don't want to like push myself too much, trying to just take it slow. So I haven't worked out in a month. Even before that with my workouts, it's very simple and not too intense, but this is the first time in my life where my diet has really been everything for me. I still have muscle and definition and not even working out. So it's really a testament to the fact that your diet really is 90% of your results. Like they always say, like if you can just get your diet in order, like the workout, of course it's good for your heart and it's just good for your mental well-being to get that physical exercise. But usually we're all going to the gym to try to increase, to try to tone up and to get, it's more about like how our body looks. But for me, it's been really cool to be able to have, since my diet is so pure, that I can go a month without working out and still my body stays the same.
It's amazing. I mean, it's true. So now that you're into like your 15th, 16th month of doing this, is it getting better each month? I mean, it doesn't get any, it's pretty cool how you just feel better, but I think maybe you become more aware of the foods that really serve you and the ones that do not. And you just find yourself probably looking at Halloween candy. I didn't have, it's been 2 years in a row I haven't had Halloween candy, but
yeah, like I would used to always have a little, I was very good about limiting, being really moderate about my treats, but to be able to go this long with that like 0 treats, that's like amazing to me. And for it to not even be hard. I don't even look at the
but
candy.
you're not, but again, you're doing it because you choose to, but you don't feel deprived, do you?
No, I'm not ever looking at candy like, oh, I wish I could have it. It's just like, I'd rather not. I don't want it.
You look at it like it's an evil roach or something.
Yeah, my kids are always like, just have a bite. I'm like, well, it's not like I feel like I can't, I'm not allowed. It's like, I genuinely do not want a bite of that. It doesn't even look good to me.
And that's the mind shift we've all experienced. The next half, what I want to focus on with you is, ER Shred, why we're different, unique, our messaging, why it's important. And you mentioned, I don't think we give any scripts to anybody, hopefully not. But before I do that, is it okay if I play the 1-minute video from Apple, why we're, the crazy ones? And I wanted to do it only because I don't know how many people have visited ershred.biz, but this, if you watch the video, and again, I forget how old I am, but it's like, to me, it's like, oh, everybody, it's the most famous, commercial ever, but it's been, and that came out in the 80s. So that said, there's probably plenty of you that have never seen it before, but this gets into when you think of how Apple built their culture, how Apple thinks versus the typical company from a marketing perspective. And I just want, again, as you were talking about ER Shred from the protocol standpoint, you get to decide what works best for you. And what I want to suggest to people, this is entirely up to you, how you want to brand yourself, how you want to appear to others. But I just want to point out some subtleties and differences and why we have our messaging the way we have it, because we are unique. We are the crazy ones. But as a result, I know we're attracting a really killer group of people. And it's just literally starting to grow. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. We'll play it and we'll get back. And then we're going to talk how you've helped develop the messaging. I want to dive into also if you want to share how you did your podcast or how you started to get your following. I mean, you've got so many good things to share. I'm going to share the screen and see if I can do this, if it works. Let's see here. Bang. Where did it go? Maybe not. Let me see if I can do this. There. I had it set up. This is such a bummer.
I don't think I've ever seen this.
Okay, well, good. Well, this will be fun.
Yeah.
Go into your history.
Myself. It's a really special guest.
We'll have an ad here for somebody, unfortunately.
Hours a day. How to launch your own digital product, your course, your mastermind, your workshop, your coaching program, or take the one you have to a whole nother level and do it absolutely free. Would you be
You
up for
can
it?
skip the ad.
Where is the skip? Do you
There's
see it?
a skip ad button right there. To the right.
About 2.5 hours a day.
Oh, it's covered up by by my
Oh, you
screen.
can't see it.
There
Oh,
we go.
okay.
Thanks,
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Awesome.
That is so good. That is perfect, right? That is totally ER shred. That's what I feel
So
like.
if you go to ershred.biz, what did I do?
Here's to the crazy ones.
How'd that happen? Okay. If you go to ershred.biz, that's the first video I show with intention, because I want to kind of set the table to think different, to think uniquely. And that's what's attractive. It isn't the same, and again, I'm going to hack on some people openly, but think about what you like in social media today and what you dislike, or what do you like in commercials that you will pay attention to, but you tune out to others. And I see that in our industry a lot, where there's a lot of me too. Well, so-and-so's super successful, one of those, highly recognized individuals. If that's what they do, that's what I need to do. And I need to have her verbiage. I'm going to use her script. And you get 100 people doing the same thing. And then you see it all over the place, right?
Mhm.
And just as we are unique individuals when it comes to our health and the protocol of ER Shred, we are that same unique individual as relates to our relationships, our friendships, how we want to brand ourselves, if you will, how do we want to appear to others. And it's your story that's attractive. So when you used to do your previous company, you said it was mainly the business, it was the money, it was the glitz, the shiny objects that attracted people to it. But since you've been in Isagenix, pretty much it's always been about the journey. I know this has been the case with Randy and Tony and Sean and yourself. It's about the story. And I'll just ask you straight up, not to put you on the spot, but when you share your story, Sean likes to say it's all about the feels, right? Because you have emotion with it.
Yeah.
So what happens, Crystal, when you have an emotional attachment to your story? How is that seen? How do you show up to the world?
Yeah, that's the cool thing is I can compare the difference between the first company and now. And it really is much more natural for me to talk about it. Like I was just imitating these successful people because they just, they made me believe that if I do it exactly the way they do it, then I will too become successful. But it never felt genuine. It never felt authentic. I felt like I was pretty much acting and be playing this role, and I could never be my true authentic self. And this is like the first time in my life where I feel like I've made so many breakthroughs this past year where, well, actually the past 3 years, I think this has been like this whole journey that Sean and I have been on to actually break free from so many of the things that I thought was the way I was supposed to live my life, the way I was supposed to talk, the way I was supposed to act. And now feeling like I can literally break free from all those chains that I thought were like what was going to make me happy, what was going to make me successful, and breaking free from all of it. I'm just like, wow, this is like mind blowing to have this many breakthroughs that I've had over the past 3 years, and realizing that I am allowed to be 100% me. And I also don't need to teach anyone else to do things exactly the way I'm doing them. And how beautiful it is to embrace everybody's individual talents and gifts and life experience and personalities. It's so cool when we can actually let that all shine and let that all come through. And no longer are we trying to create robots, but now we are our ER Shred. I think the messaging of ER Shred altogether, that commercial is perfect, Bob, that it's just like, yes, like let's all be different and unique, and let's stop like spitting out these scripts for people. Like all you have to do is say this and you'll get people to sign up. It's like, how about, and also like shift the focus away from all the money and the material of things, because it, speaking from somebody who has, went from a life of, I grew up really poor, like extremely poor, living in little tiny apartments and barely having enough food. Like we had to get food from our church, and it was just really extreme, that end. And then now to be where we are, Sean and I together, and experience this kind of lifestyle, to have plenty of money and the cars and the houses and all the things that I thought were what would make a person happy. Not to say that it has, I don't enjoy those things, but you get them and you realize like, oh, like I still have the same problems that I did, when I was poor. So you start to realize that those are not the things that we should be focusing on, really focusing on our own mental well-being, our health, how we're showing up in the world, how we're serving others. Like that's where the true fulfillment comes from. And so when we like take our focus off of like, oh, I'm going to achieve this rank, I got to get all these cycles, I'm going to make all these bonuses, I'm going to have like, my dream is to have this big, nice, fancy home and all these cars and everything. It's like, I'm not saying that you can't have those things, but what I'm saying is when you have those things, you realize they're not actually what gives you the kind of fulfillment that we're all seeking. And so when now being able to build our business with this new mindset and new approach, it's like you can breathe. It feels like, oh my gosh, like we can just help people. You don't even need to think about the money. Of everything you put value into the world, you get value back. So it may come in the form of in other ways. It doesn't have to be like money and dollars and fancy things. That you'll get, the value will come back to you in some form or another.
Let's focus on this a little bit, because this is the heart. This is the secret sauce. As my wife would say, or a lot of other people have said the same thing. This is the juicy stuff. And there's a couple of distinctions that I'd like to put out. You've got your left brain, right brain, right? So for us woo-woo people, we're going to talk about spirituality. We're going to get in touch with our emotions. I won't cry like Sean, hopefully, but now if I do, you'll give me, excuse me. No, but the idea is that as a stockbroker, I was right brain. That's your factual brain, right? That's when you think of money, is that right or left brain? Your right brain, right?
Okay, I don't know.
So your left brain's your emotional side. That's that's your emotions. And so like if you're an artist or if you're a singer, songwriter, musician, whatever, you're pretty much left brain dominant. You're artistic, creative, connected, so on that way, or writer, left brain dominant. If you are an analyst, if you're an accountant, if you're a numbers person, you know, if it's always like a scientist, very specific, precise, that's all given, that's driven by your right brain. That's all factual. So I'll ask you this, in your opinion, when you make a decision, sometimes you make a decision because when you were looking at your first network marketing company, it was all about the money. That was factual. That was right brain thinking. That was not emotional at all. You even said the product wasn't an emotional attachment. It was just about the money, right?
Yeah.
Isagenix, or a fulfillment company, that got you back thinking about, oh my God, I'm down 25 pounds. I feel better. Shred took you to a whole nother level. That's left brain, that you're attached with your emotions. So when Sean got teary-eyed, or I got teary-eyed last year trying to explain how good I felt, I was having a hard time speaking. I didn't know what to say. Other than that, it's incredible to understand that you can actually feel a whole nother level. I mean, you don't know how bad you feel or felt until you get to a level where you felt even better. And I think we reached a level of health that you, Sean, myself, anybody else on this call probably didn't think it was possible to feel this good, right?
Yeah.
So how did you feel when you were sharing, when you're building your business and you felt that you could be authentic and you didn't have to follow scripts and so on? How did that make you feel? You said you kind of felt free. You even put your hands up to your face and you're kind of gushing like, oh my God, I felt alive. I felt free. I felt my authentic self.
Yeah.
That's 100% your emotional side.
Yeah.
And that's what attracts people, and that's what draws people to it. Another thing I want to just point out, because it's just not our industry and it's just not what we're trying to do with Shred, but going back to Apple and that ad and the genius of Steve Jobs, and there's many books written now about what he created. When you think of Apple, their main competitor at the time was Microsoft. But Microsoft was a big company, right? They were the biggest, baddest on the block. And then there was Apple, and they were kind of the cool guys. That said, when Microsoft would advertise with Intel, or they came out with the new computer, everything that they advertised, I want you to think about this, everything that they would show up in their advertising was all fact-based stuff. Our microprocessor does this, is this much faster. Our memory is this much faster. Our software, oh my gosh, it can do this, the functionality. And they just literally did feature, benefit, feature, benefit, feature, benefit, feature, benefit. Where when Apple did their advertising, just like they did with Think Differently, we're the crazy ones to think we can change the world. It was all about the feeling. It was about the experience of using the computer in your lifetime. In fact, very little was ever said about Apple's clock speed does this, or performance. It's got the biggest, fastest, baddest engine. None of that, right? In their advertising. Yet what they did is they connected with people's emotions. And they basically said, our goal is to provide the best user experience as it relates to our products. It was all about the customer's experience and ease of use and so on. That again is that's left brain, that's emotional thinking, versus feature, benefit, Microsoft. It was always about bigger, faster, stronger. And all I'm pointing out is, in the end, who won the battle? I'm going to say it's Apple.
Yeah.
Because when you find someone who buys Apple products, they typically never leave.
Yeah.
What I'm finding with our Shred community is that once people get to that I come alive experience, they may experiment and kind of fall off now and then, but I haven't seen a lot of people leave.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm sure there's some, but there aren't very many who say, this isn't for me, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Once they reach that, oh my God, I feel good. And I can't believe how well I'm sleeping, and my energy, I'm a happier person, et cetera, et cetera. And we see people that are willing to share. That's the part that moves me more than anything, is people who I had just coming out of the woodwork, willing to share their story of their experience. And obviously it started like with Mimi, and we saw her come alive, and she kind of, became the heart of Shred, and she took it to a whole nother level. as far as just communicating and staying in touch with our community, but she's always in touch from the standpoint of how do people feel, or putting a smile on your face in the morning and making you laugh. Very little is said about you need to do this because you're going to lose X amount of pounds in this amount of time, and you're going to detox your body and do this, that gets back into the feature benefit stuff. That's the uniqueness of ER Shred that I absolutely love. So getting back to what you were saying, you were talking about being authentic. You mentioned basically not being scripted, but having the individuality and celebrating that in people. How do you see going forward? I mean, what is it with ER Shred that you see as different from what we've done in the past, maybe? Or where do you see this going with Sean? I know you and Sean talk a lot about the future. Where do you see this developing over the next couple of years as compared to what we had we had a good program in the past. I just think you guys discovered a better way of doing it.
Yeah, like not only are we getting better results, but we are also encouraging people to tap into their own, we're just learning how to feel. We're teaching people how to feel more instead of teaching people how to do what we say. And that has been one of my biggest breakthroughs over the last 3 years, is finally getting to a place where I am trusting myself enough to make my own decisions and not always looking to somebody else to tell me what I'm supposed to do. So that comes, that's pertains to diet, how to parent, how to live our life, what is right, what is wrong. I've always looked to other people to tell me exactly what to do. And I love that is our message with ER Shred, is we really do want to empower people to make their own decisions in all areas of their life. And so we are getting, better results than ever before physically, but we're always saying, like Susan Rothman and everyone was always pointing out the fact that this is more than just our physical results and our diet. It is really spilling over into all areas of our life when it comes to awareness. So we're more aware of what we're putting into our food. It's starting there, but now we're aware of what else are we consuming through our minds. Who are we surrounding ourselves with? What kind of information are we consuming? What are we doing with our time? What kinds of thoughts are we thinking? So the awareness is just kind of whoa, we're becoming so much more aware, which is actually the key to personal development and just living your best life. Because if you become more aware of your negative habits and the things that you do, or your negative thoughts that you didn't even know that you actually have the ability to change your thoughts, but you just keep replaying this old tape recorder in your head. It tells you all these limiting beliefs. But when you become aware, you're like, wait a minute, where did this belief come from? Why do I believe this so strongly? And so we're kind of investigating more, and we're taking the time to figure out, why do I believe this so strongly? And can I change that belief? Can it be something completely different? Just like we are teaching people to think differently about their diet. When we're first coming out and saying, yeah, we're just going to eat meat. That's so different and weird and crazy, like the Apple commercial, we're different, but it's such a beautiful thing that we are promoting this being different and being so unique, doing things against the norm and trying something completely different, stepping into the unknown. That's what it feels like. We're stepping into the unknown, but that's where all the magic happens. If we're brave enough, courageous enough to step into that darkness that feels scary, well, nobody else is doing that. I've heard that that's really bad. We shouldn't be doing that. But what if we just try for ourselves and see what we think? What if we have our own experience around that?
Even the messaging, and so think about this, it's kind of the push-pull in conversation, is that when Sean will say, well, hey, it's not for everybody, and that's okay, right? Yeah. And he'll say it just like that, and everyone's going, wait a minute, you're not going to try to convince me to do ER Shred? And it's no, if you want to give it a shot, it's 11 days and give it your all and we'll get you to baseline, but it's 100% up to you to decide. But hey, it's not for everybody. And for me, that's so refreshing, because when someone tells me it's not for me, I actually personally, I want it more, right? It's like, what do you mean it's not for me? Right? You're like, you can't tell me it's not for me. I think I do want that, right? But if someone is telling me you have to do this and this is what you need to do, and this is how we've been programmed since we were little kids, we tend to get a little bit more resistant, or we put that energy off. It's like, okay, you're trying to convince me to do something. I'm not so sure. Then you're the petulant teenager, like saying, you're not going to convince me of doing anything. I'm not doing that. So that's a beautiful point, that you are being authentic. You have such an innocent message. Hey, it's not for everybody, but look what it did for me. I think it'll work for you. Why not give it a try? Is that you can do it in such a way where you're not pushy. It's being real. It's authentic. And at the same time, you're giving the person permission to decide for themselves what's right. And that's the scary thing. When you tell people, hey, we're going to empower you, some people get scared. Like, what do you mean it's my choice? Like, you're used to being told what to do and when to do it and how to do it. But we're onto something so amazing when you look at, especially when I look at Apple in terms of what they've created with the same methodology as it relates to the golden circle of who you are. And that's where I stole this actually from Jesse when he kept talking about the community in the beginning, because it is all about the community. So who is ER Shred? Is ER Shred our fulfillment company? No. Is ER Shred a product or the protocol? No. I would argue that ER Shred, we're a community of like-minded individuals who aspire to live their very best life in health and wellness. And we do that by following our ER Shred protocol.
Yeah.
After that, it's up for you to decide. You want to join
And
me?
I love the fact that if we can really get to a place where we stop thinking so much about the money, like that will come naturally. Like everything will be, I believe everything you need will come to you at the right timing. So if we set that aside and stop putting our focus around, all right, we got to make all this money, I want to become rich, and all these big goals that we have always had.
Well, when someone has that, so for an example, as I was a stockbroker, money manager, did that.
Yeah.
If you felt that I was interested in how much money I was going to make off of you and Sean, and I was looking at you as a client that's going to be, oh, they're going to be a great client, I'm going to make X amount of dollars off of them.
Yeah.
You could probably subconsciously, you would sense that, correct?
Yeah.
You'd say something's off, or, the energy's not right. Whereas I was lucky that I had a mentor that pulled me aside and said, your manager's driving you nuts. How many phone calls did you make today? How many sales, et cetera? How much commissions, on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis? It was always chasing that number, that dollar sign.
Yeah.
He said, forget about all of that. Just focus on your clients and get them what they want. And if you do that one thing, the money will follow. You don't have to follow the money on a daily basis, weekly basis, a monthly basis. And that's what you were getting at. If we focus on individuals and help them get what they want, you can also have success without focusing on the money. That's what you're talking about, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm not trying to promote like, you don't need money, like we should all like sell everything and go live in a van. Like that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that it is a natural, it is natural for the value to come back to you if you just focus on genuinely serving other people. And like you said about the community, and we do touch on this a lot about how amazing the community is. And that's what I think is the number one reason why people are sticking around, is because of the community and the fact that we know things about each other. Like you, Jesse, doing the interviews and diving deep into people's personal lives, and you doing these interviews and really getting to know each other, and everybody is getting their turn to, be on these calls so that we can genuinely get to know people. Like we got to know more about Heidi and Mel and all these people that we are getting to know on a personal level. It's just really awesome when you can connect with people on that level. And it's not just the fact that we have ER Shred in common. It's the fact that we do know things about each other. Like Rike, we were all, like he was in our thoughts, and we're just hoping that everything turns out okay for him with his accident. And, everybody is getting to know each other on a personal level. And I don't think you find that very much, especially with social media. I think it's a lot everything is very surface level on social media as well. But I'm just amazed with how deep we've been able to get with many of the members in the ER Shred community and connect on such a deep level, and how authentic and vulnerable people are being and sharing these really, really personal experiences. And that's what I think has brought us so close together with the community, and why people are not leaving. It's because they've made real friendships and they want to stick around because they genuinely love each other.
I stopped watching the news about November 2nd a year ago. So it's been about a year since I've really watched the news. I used to be a news junkie, 24/7.
Yeah.
It's like after 11 days of ER Shred, it was like, ew. I mean, that didn't even, why am I doing that? It's just a mental, puts me in a bad place. I don't want anything mentally, emotionally, or physically to put me in a bad place. I just want to feel good and be happy all the time. So we are adopting better habits. And I find my entertainment, I'm on ER Shred, going to the community more often than I am doing a lot of the other things that I used to do, because it is interesting and exciting to see the success stories and learn new things about people. And that's the genius of what Sean said. He said, I know how to build community. Trust me on that one. You help me with the business. Jesse's going to help me with the nutritional side. And he said, collectively, I think we could really create something special here. Let's give it a 1-year commitment and we're good. And so when Sean came up on his 1 year and he said, oh, talk to Crystal, we're in it for another 5 years. I'm like, where did that come from? You were really going to quit on me? I mean, I was like, no way. But anyway, I think in the beginning we were hoping this would work, but I think it exceeded all of our expectations. And yes, we're all in this. And this is the passion. If you can do something for free and still get excited about it, it's where your passion lies. It's your home. And that's what's exciting. It isn't about the money, but we know that as we continue to grow and our light collectively gets brighter and brighter and brighter, we become more magnetic to other people. And other people are going to say, what's going on in that ER Shred community? I got to find out. I mean, they're all too happy, or they're all too excited. They're all getting these amazing results. What is it? And that's the beauty of it. So I know we're at the top of the hour, but we have more to cover, Crystal, in the future when we get into personal development and a lot of other elements. But I hope this at least set the table, or at least the foundation, for people to think differently about who we are and why we're doing it the way we're doing it. And it seems odd because it is different from everybody else. But as you said, that's refreshing. That makes you feel like you're fulfilled as a person, that you're doing it your way and not feeling you have to do it a scripted way, or be seen in a business suit, or have that perfect social media marketing campaign that, by the way, everybody else in the company might be using that same slide. That's what I love about where we're going and where we're headed. But anything else you'd like to add, Crystal, to tonight?
Well, just to end with a quote that I just posted the other day is, we don't want to be imitators, we want to be innovators. And that's what I think it all comes down to. Like, we are not wanting to create people that are going to just imitate anybody who, we don't want to imitate Jesse. We don't want to imitate Bob. We don't want to imitate Sean. Let's embrace our individuality and be innovators in our own unique way, use our own gifts and talents to serve others. And that's really what it's all about. We are genuinely just serving others by being a part of this community and helping other people with their health.
Perfectly said. Couldn't be a better ending to that. Yes, we all want to be innovators. We want everyone to be their collective, individual, amazing self. And that's the light within us that shines in others.
Yeah.
Congratulations, everybody. You can unmute everyone if you want to say anything, but thank you so much for joining us this evening. We will get this recorded. And please put down in the chat if this this topic makes sense to you and you would like to delve deeper into this type of marketing, please let us know. I mean, there's no one way to do this business, but we want to I want to make sure we're serving and we're hopefully giving you good golden nuggets that you'll be able to utilize for your businesses, your centers.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Crystal.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Bob. It was a great night.
Thank you, Crystal and Bob. I love your call. Crystal,
Thank
it's
you,
always
guys.
great to hear from you.
It's good to
And
see
Bob,
Laura.
too.
We're so blessed that you guys come and join us on Thursday nights. And we know a lot of you are on Facebook watching, and a lot of people will catch up on the reviews. Oh, I got a funny story for you guys. This will crack you up. We're still recording, but I have a fraternity brother, Don Gleason. So he was a sophomore when I was a freshman. We were on in the dorm, Mitchell Hall, first floor North Hall of Mitchell Hall. It was an all guys dorm. And a lot of us were football players, but Don Gleason literally made a comment on one of the Thursday night lives that I put on my personal page. And he said, Bob, and he's not even doing our program yet. I mean, I'm like, this guy's just watching my, he goes, my wife and I absolutely love your show. He goes, great job. Look forward to next week. And I thought, he's not even doing our program yet. So anyway, I got to reach out to my friend Don Gleason from college,
That's awesome.
going way back
Oh,
when.
that's great. That's
Is
great.
that
Bobby.
crazy? I mean,
Yes.
he's just watching it and he's enjoying the energy and he's watching the programs, because I'll put out our Wednesday night call on my page and I'll put my call out on my page a lot often. And people are loving it. So next time, Crystal, we'll talk about how you were able to build your followers. I don't know if you did that strictly through podcasts or just how you were able to build your brand, because you have built up quite a following over the years. And that in itself is amazing. That's through your Wannabe Moms group, right?
Want to be balanced, right?
Want to be balanced, not want to be moms.
Yeah.
Want to be balanced.
Want
I'm
to be
sorry.
balanced moms.
Yeah.
That's it. No, we love your podcast. Well,
Well,
thanks, guys. And thank you all. We will be back. And Crystal, as always, I really appreciate your time because I know you're busy.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
everybody. Bye, Mel.
Good night, guys.
Love you, Laura.
Love you too.
Bye, Heidi. Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Bye,
everybody.
Ricky.
Great way to
Bye.
end the night.